Welcome back to the Empty the Quiver podcast, your front row seats for all things Utah Archers. From game recaps to standout performances, we'll be your guide to all things orange and blue. Let's let it fly. Back again on the cusp of realizing this team's championship potential, coming off a massive 18-8 win against a red-hot Waterdogs team. I mean, just a complete game. JB and I were talking before we started recording, only 12 turnovers. There were a lot of ways that this game could have flipped. I feel like when a rookie goalie comes in, they're either lights out or they get blown up. Obviously, we blew the guy up. Rain delay could have kind of flipped the momentum. We had a lot going. And they could have come out and took it to us, and they didn't. I mean, we outscored them 12-4 in the second half. Just a complete game on all fronts. Didn't really have to rely on Brett Dobson and Cage. Still had a great game. Only 10 saves, though. Credit to the defense. I kind of said beforehand, the game plan has to be, we are not going to get beat by CJ Kirst. And Brennan Lavelle stepped up to the plate. One goal from CJ Kirst. We finally get, Aidan McGuire gets his lick back. Thankfully, I've been seeing, him kind of destroying CJ as much as we did it the other way around. So could not be more proud of the way we came out and played last week. Thoughts, JB?
Yeah, Aidan McGuire looks like the Aidan McGuire that was playing at Duke, the guy who won all those college awards, guy who went first overall in the draft, and he's just proving Chris Bates right. He's playing defense, lockdown defense. He's a factor on the offensive side of the ball, which is what we hoped for. Felt like he was a little tentative at first. He's a rookie. He's still only played a handful of games, and now that he's more comfortable and taking some shots, they're going in. We love that. Piper Bond added a goal. So back-to-back weeks of 2 short stick goals. And then you can't ignore Trey LeClaire just absolutely going off. He looked like the Trey LeClaire in Charlotte when we played the Chaos. He was unstoppable. Shooting 2-pointers, dishing out assists. He was asked in the post-game press conference what he's changed about his game, or was it intentional to try to develop into somebody who's going to dish the ball out? Because previously in his career, he was mainly a goals guy, not many assists. He did say yes, it's something that he was trying to grow, and you're always trying to add something to your arsenal. And I think missing Tom Schreiber this year, he's slotted in there so nicely and filling that spot we desperately needed. We're out of the box, top of the key, and just finding the open guy. Some of those passes he made were just, it looks like he's been doing it his whole life. So love to see it. And 18-8, another ice cream game. The defense is unbelievable. Dobson, I mean, we say only 10 saves because we're used to him putting up 14, 15, 16, but it was another game where if you add up all the goals they scored plus the saves he made, it's still not more than the goals the Archers scored. So that in itself just shows how dominant that defense has been.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to what you were talking about with Trey, I saw a stat today where he's had 7 assists so far this season, and that matches all of his other seasons combined. So definitely a new layer for him. I'm pretty sure he was like 20 goals or 22 or 23 goals and no assists in his all-pro season. Now, he had a lot of opportunities that we just didn't cash in. Not to say he's a ball hog or anything like that. But it's really been cool to see that develop and really see the 2-pointer start to get going. I mean, I think kind of down the stretch, some of these games are going to be decided by big momentum plays like that. If we can add another, threat, obviously he's been a threat, but to have put that on paper is huge.
Yeah, I feel like previous seasons, it's just he was not in the position to make those plays because we had Grant and Tom, and at the point when he gets the ball, it's okay, shoot. That's what you're here for. But now that he can kind of run the offense a little bit, come flying out of the box and rip a 2-pointer, step inside and bury a 1 or feed somebody so they can score. It's been really successful.
I would love to give a little shout out to Leo Johnson. Obviously, his insertion into the lineup in Carolina, we've been at least double digits in every single game he's played in so far. Just the 1 assist, a really nice assist to Trey later in the game. But I think he's, really been that kind of jitterbug, and he is playing somewhat of a Grant Ament role where he's kind of taking guys to X and trying to beat them from behind the cage, which has been refreshing to see because I felt like that was a huge missing part of our game last year. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously Trey with 9, then you have Fields, King, and Steins with 4, Mack with 2, Piper with 2, McGuire, Leo, Dunham with an assist. I mean, it was just a masterpiece.
Yeah, that one play where the entire defense, I think that was Piper's goal. It was just all defense up the field.
Yep,
I think did Dunham assist Piper on that one?
I
Pretty
think
sure
that's
that's what that
correct.
is.
Yeah, he took a pretty big lick after
De-
that, but
Defensive masterclass. And that's what
yes,
Coach Bates has been preaching. And we have been doing it as well. We sound like a broken record, but the reason you draft a short stick and everybody questions it, but it's so that in transition you trap the other team or you catch them where they're still trying to sub, and now you've got numbers. And as long as your defenders and your defensive middies are comfortable shooting the ball, you're going to take advantage of it and you're going to put the ball in the back of the net.
yeah. No, I'm anxiously awaiting our first pole goal, and whether that's a 1 or a 2. I don't think we have one yet, but that's just going to be the icing on the cake. Last week we talked about kind of the recipe for an Archers win. Obviously we got 5 goals from the left side and 3 goals from the right side. Now, we got 5 scoring points from Trey Leclerc, so he was more than the 3 in the aggregate that we kind of talked about. And obviously, you add, Piper and McGuire's goals in there too. I mean, we got 7 goals that we're saying, we just really need 3 there. So, just a great thing to see. We're trending super well. Um,
You asked for 6 goals from the left, and Fields had 4 and Mack had 2, so we got the 6.
yep,
We just needed 1 more from the right.
yep. So, well, let's give out some arrows, and then we've got a huge weekend to preview coming up.
I mean, player of the game has to be Trey Leclerc, right? It's 9 points, Utah record for a regular season game. 3 goals, 2 2-point goals on top of those 3, 2 assists on top of that. He shot the ball 8 times, 62% shooting percentage.
On the other end, CJ Curse was coming into this game averaging 5 goals a game, and he shot 16%, 1 for 6. Brendan Lavelle was kind of the closest one to him most of the game, and he made his presence felt early, and I think it really disrupted their offensive flow.
Yeah, so Brendan Lavelle, number 2, and then number 1 overall pick, Aiden McGuire. That's 2 games in a row with a goal. They loved to put the one-on-one matchup with CJ scoring a goal on him 2 weeks ago, or two games ago. I guess it was right before the All-Star break. And yeah, okay, he's on a short stick. He scored a goal. I respect it. I think CJ Curse is the best player in the league right now, and he's probably going to win MVP. But I mean, they loved to say, "Oh, look at this, back-to-back number 1 picks," and CJ scores. And now this week, I haven't seen it blasted as much, but maybe it'll be content this week. But Aiden McGuire had a fantastic possession where CJ trying to get going and trying to get a shot on goal, and there was a switch, and now he's on Aiden McGuire again. He's got the short stick matchup, and he just absolutely stuffed him and got to the point
Yeah,
where he couldn't get past him. Lavelle came over to help. He turned the ball over. So on top of scoring the goal, give him third hour of the game.
yeah, absolutely.
Couple
Now
honorable
on
mentions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely want to shout out Sis again. 62% of the stripe is a fantastic line. We're tilting those possession numbers in our favor. He's winning a lot of them to himself still. It's taking a beating. So thank you for putting your body on the line for us. Mason Woodward wearing number 43 for his Marquette player who unfortunately lost his life in a car accident. Zach Carey put out another great article today talking about that, and looking to honor the other athlete that was killed in that car accident. So he hit 2 pipes again this week, and really, Michael Sowers is another fantastic player, and 4 points is 4 points, but I felt like we really limited him on defense as well.
Absolutely. I mean, can't say much better. Mason did go into detail in the press conference on wearing his friend's number. It was Indigenous Heritage game, and that that gentleman grew up on the reservation, so it made it even more special. Just, yeah, really gets you in the feels. It's so good that to see him, honor him, and also play a fantastic game. So it's just icing on the cake.
Yeah. And before we transition it over to this massive weekend that we have coming up, we do also want to send our thoughts and prayers to Chaos defenseman Jack Rowlett. It was a pretty scary hit that he took in that game against the Outlaws. For as much as we like to call Chaos our little brother, Jack Rowlett, plays the game hard. He's a fantastic cover man, and really enjoy watching him. So, like I said, want to send our thoughts and prayers out to him, wishing a speedy recovery. Never want to see anybody go down like that and have to be stretchered off. So, thoughts and prayers with you.
Yeah, scary moment for sure. It's especially when you're there in person. Seeing the thumbs up is always a great sign, but there's always a long road ahead when you've got a neck brace on and you're going straight to the hospital. So we always say we love to hate those guys, but off the field, like he's somebody you love to cheer for as well. It's a hard defenseman, and all-star game, like he's on our side, right?
Yeah,
So we just hope he gets better. And you never want to see somebody get hurt.
right. Well, and he wears the red, white, and blue too. So,
Yeah.
gonna need him next year for Japan. So yeah,
Speedy
wish him.
recovery, Jack.
Yeah. So, well, on to Denver. A second doubleheader for us, and it's going to be an interesting one. I don't like to. I'm going to take a page from Coach Bates's book here and say the expert power rankings coming out next week will likely feature Whip Snakes and the Outlaws above us, who are our two opponents. We're going to be playing Denver in their house. Rocky Mountain rivalry has given us some great games over the years. It's been kind of a while since we had a homecoming game. I'm pretty sure the only team to win both is the Atlas. Home team not great in their first game of the weekend, so hopefully that kind of continues to be a theme. But I mean, it's a four-ton offense. It's Logan McNady and Cage. Ryan Terefenko is one of the best short sticks in this league. Luke Weirman is a very competent Fogo. So we're gonna have to give it all we got. I will say I'm not super worried about their midfield. I think we've got to lock down those four Tewaaraton winners. Dalton Young is a great player. Justin Anderson, Evan Plunkett. And obviously we're gonna have to stop them in transition. But I mean, I think the main thing is it's got to be limiting. Pat Cavanaugh distributing the ball. Brendan Lavelle's gonna have to have another great game against Brendan O'Neill. It's going to have to be Woody on Jared Bernhardt. It's going to be really, really interesting to kind of see where the chips fall. I really think we may end up seeing Mitchell Dunham play close defense. I think he's probably a good foil for the Pat Cavanaugh matchup, and then we can kind of stick Warren Jeffrey kind of locking off Logan Wisnauskas because I mean he was an MVP front runner. I mean, he scored a ton of goals this year. So, I mean, they can get goals from wherever, but we're going to have to give it 4 quarters of our best lacrosse. And I'm really interested to see how this one shakes out.
It's interesting because coming off of a season where Denver played in the championship, obviously lost to the Atlas in a very close game. I'm not as nervous playing them this year as I was last year. Obviously, we beat them in Utah, short rosters with being week one. But even the last more recent games, they just beat the Chaos by 2. They didn't. I was there. They didn't necessarily look overly impressive. They lost to Boston by 2. They beat the Whip Snakes, which is a big win. They beat them by 6, and they lost to Carolina by 1 the week before that. So very up and down, hot and cold. They haven't seemed to hit their stride. I would hate for that to happen in Denver. But overall, they could explode at any moment. It's one of those things where they're not a slouch by any means. They're, like you said, probably number 2 right now in the power rankings. We think the expert rankings when they come out. But overall, like you said, face-off guy. I mean, Mikey is leading the league in face-off percentage and ground balls right now. He's number 1, not just in our conference, but in the league. Dobson's leading the league in save percentage. our offense has clearly turned it up a notch, back-to-back weeks of 18 and 16. So we we couldn't be more confident, but at the same time, cautiously optimistic, right?
Yeah.
You
I
want to
mean,
go in
like I
there
said,
and win that game, but
yeah, it's going to take 4 quarters of the last 2 games of lacrosse. I didn't even touch on their defense. Obviously, JT Giles Harris is a former Defensive Player of the Year award winner. I talked about Tarasenko, but Zach Geddes is a great short stick as well. Could really push it in transition. So yeah, it's going to have to be a complete lacrosse game. I think we're going to see some guys, some of our offensive midfielders have to get back in the hole and play some defense because they do like to run with Pacino and Tarasenko and Geddes. So yeah, it's going to be a definite challenge. You like to imagine, with the way Chaos has been playing, it's going to be us, the Outlaws, and the Redwoods, kind of jockeying for position, in the playoffs. So this is a team that we're more than likely going to have to play again after this game. So it's going to be a great litmus test. Definitely got our eye on a couple matchups, but it's going to be a fun one for sure.
and Denver, the remaining schedule for Denver, they play the Archers, the Waterdogs, the Whip Snakes, the Atlas, and they end with the Redwoods. That's brutal.
Yeah,
So they're not in a spot like last year where they kind of ran away with it a little bit. Um, this game is very important for them as well.
yeah. Well, we've got some room on the score differential, but we've played one more game than them. They have one less loss than we do, so definitely want to even up that score a little bit. Score differential is going to continue to be immensely important, but I feel like we've played well. We're coming into form. Definitely haven't played our best lacrosse yet. Still looking for that first pole goal, and I'm gonna scream when it happens.
This week, we said it, but this week, Mason Woodward, 2-point goal
Yep,
against the
book it,
Outlaws. It's
book
happening.
it.
2-point goal against the Outlaws. When it happens, I will put this clip on the Instagram. Mason Woodward, 2-point goal. You're welcome. It's coming this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then the second game is another red hot team. Obviously, thankful that Rob Pennell, got his record, very well deserved, but definitely didn't want that to be a storyline in this game. It's going to be really some interesting matchups. I think you probably put Lavelle on TJ,
Yeah.
probably put Warren Jeffrey on Rob Pennell, and then you put Mason Woodward on Joey Spallina. It's going to be another one of those games where it's two really great offenses, two really great defenses. P. LaSala has been improved at the faceoff X. Emmett Carroll just coming off of an awesome game where I think he went like
It
78%.
was ridiculous. Yes.
Um, 72%, but 18 saves. And that was kind of the story of the first game. Obviously, the offense wasn't clicking like they are now. It was an 8-5 game. If we can hold that team to 8 goals, I will be more than pleased. But it's about the recipe. We've got an incredible defense. Matt Dunn, Ajax Zapatello, a former Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time actually, and Matt Dunn. Their rookie short sticks have been impressive. LSM play has been good. So yeah, it's just gonna another. Unfortunately, playing back to back teams are, I'm pretty sure, undefeated in their second game. Now that record will change because I think the Waterdogs and the Outlaws will be playing in their second game when they play each other on that Saturday. So that'll be an interesting storyline to watch as well. But PD is a threat to score on offense, so we're going to have to. I think Sis can definitely beat him. Imagine that there's not going to be a lot of clean exits for him. It's just going to be another game where we have to put 4 quarters together and want to come out of this weekend feeling good about the direction. We just have 2 games after this weekend against Boston and Carolina. The time is now. I mean, we've got to get 2 more wins out of these 4 games, and it all starts with this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we don't want the storyline. We're glad Pennell got the record when he did. We obviously had the storyline of their coach setting the all-time wins record against us earlier this season, so got that one out of the way. 8-5. It will not. I will bet my house it will not be 8-5. um, but yeah, after the Whips game, we have 2 games left, Cannons and Chaos, and that's it. That's the season. So
Yeah.
just got to finish strong. I think we've been looking ahead at that potential Utah weekend in the playoffs. For anybody that isn't sure how the playoffs work, the top 3 teams in each conference make the playoffs. The top team in each conference automatically moves ahead to that second weekend of the playoffs in Utah. The second and third place team in each conference will play in Minnesota. Winner will play the 1 seed in Utah. So if we can somehow get to that second week of the playoffs, play at home, win that game and go to the championship, that would be a dream come true. So
Yeah. I know. I mean, looking down the schedule, though, I mean, we've got Boston, Carolina next week. Obviously, we spoke about the Rowlett injury. That's a huge loss for them. Obviously, Blaze is a game changer. He's very liable to go off for 17, 18, 19, 20 saves. You kind of lean Boston in that game. Then we have to play them the next week. Definitely would love to see Carolina put the brakes on that a little bit. And I don't want to see them win, but definitely give them a scare a little bit because we got to go to Columbus the next week and play another team kind of like us that's really come into form on the back half of the season. And then obviously we finish a little earlier than everybody else. We finish with Chaos in Boston. I think that's a fantastic way to end the season. I've always loved that. I feel like a lot of times there's been playoff implications from that game. Last year, thankfully everything worked out in the way it did, where we were able to win and still have the number 1 pick. But I mean, I think there's huge potential for that game to mean something for seeding, and maybe it even comes down to score differential. We have 4 games left in 3 weeks. It's time to continue to play the brand of lacrosse that we've played. These last 2 games. Our short sticks have been fantastic. Defense, as a whole, has been fantastic. And just continue to rattle off goals on offense. Maybe we'll see a Connor Fields 6-point game, or I'd love to see a Ryan Steins 6 or 7-point game. Plant him a little more firmly in the Rookie of the Year conversation because he's been having a fantastic season.
he's only behind Spallina in points for a rookie.
He's already at 21 points. The Archers rookie scoring record is 24, set by Sam King last year. Would love to see that number, climb up into the 30s. Down the stretch here, he's been fantastic in his last 3 games. So, just got to keep the momentum going.
Speaking of Sam King, we haven't mentioned him much. He's really just been an underrated asset where every game he gets his points.
Yeah,
He seems like as soon as the offense might go into a little bit of a lull, he comes and breaks them out of that, puts a couple in the back of the net. He's been playing fantastic. It's only his second season. I feel like we really hit the lottery when we get him followed by Ryan Steins, 2 guys that people are just kind of
yeah,
like, okay, later they're not first rounders, but
yeah.
if it's a redraft, they very easily could be first round picks. So,
Yeah, well, and even Leo Johnson. I mean, like I said,
oh yeah,
his
absolutely.
addition to the lineup has been awesome. Yeah, Sam King 1 more point than Steins right now with 22. I mean, just been a huge part of our offense in the absence of Schreiber and Matt Moore and Grant Ament. So, I do want to talk about one other thing though. We are playing a doubleheader. What are the odds that we see Aiden O'Neill this weekend?
I think so. I was thinking hard about it, and I was disappointed that he was on the reserve roster this past weekend because you know how since you can't if you're not on the reserve roster after a certain number of weeks, then you're a free agent or you can get claimed. So they oftentimes won't put the same guy on the reserve twice in a row. But to your point, he's the next guy up if they're
I
going to
think
pull
that's
somebody up to
correct,
play. And
especially in the way that we play 4 righties and 3 lefties.
mhm,
So yeah, we heaven forbid something happened to Ambler or Fields or O'Keefe. We've got to have another lefty to remain balanced. So yeah, I think it's him for sure. I think we probably see Nico DePonio suit up for the Archers.
that's
He
exciting.
yeah, gives us that flexibility at LSM and close defense. I think there's a pretty high likelihood that we see both of those guys, not only because it's a doubleheader, but heaven forbid something happens to one of those guys, in these last 4 games, we got to have these guys get some game experience. So I think it'll be a very valuable tool for us to see kind of where we stand and, kind of see what's in reserve for us.
It's exciting. I think we've got a lot of young talent. We always say we want roster expansion, even just 1 or 2 spots, so we can get
Yeah.
some of these guys some playing time.
Yeah.
Uh, I wouldn't mind. Like it's tough too because if you have 2 games like the 2 games that they've just had, winning 16-5 and 18-8,
Correct.
you can't make a change, right?
No,
So,
no,
but if you play in Denver on Friday and then the quick turnaround and play again against the Whips on Saturday, there's going to be some guys banged up. There are players that will probably be grateful to have that day off if they are taking a beating on Friday. But again, if you go out and blow the doors off with the Outlaws, you can't make a change.
no, that's correct. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Glad that I'm not the decision maker there, because I would have no idea what to do. In Bates, we trust. I think JB and I learned that a long time ago. We trust our coaching staff really implicitly. Really excited to see what this weekend brings for us.
Anything else you want to cover?
I think that's it.
If anybody's going to Denver, be loud, represent, and always remember, let it fly.
Let it fly, baby. Let's go 2-0 this weekend.
Go get them.